So last season with our Meowby side, we kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. We don't know what's going on when it comes to Europe. We finished 5th place, which might get Europe. It hasn't the previous season. In fact, it doesn't. Does it ever get Europe? I don't even know. I feel like we might get Europe, but it also depends on who wins the Swedish Cup. I think that's what's likely going to happen. So, for example, if Djurgårdens win the Swedish Cup, we might get European football this season. Or technically, we could also win the Swedish Cup, which for some reason we are 2nd place, but also going to qualify. I don't quite understand how that's a thing. Hammarby also in 2nd place, but going to qualify, and ourselves. Sure, why not? Obviously, being the 1st of February, we've got some transfer business to talk about. We've also got a lot of players leaving on free transfers. Some of them who have actually played quite a lot of football, like Sadiku, has left at the end of his contract and then decided to retire. We've also got Alvarez Perez, a player that we signed, just didn't really play him too much. He played 23 times. He is also left on a free transfer. So we've got rid of some players who were kind of on the fringes, sometimes in the starting 11. We've brought in 3 new players. And one of them will be a name that you will recognise, hopefully you'll recognise, from our days in Helsingborg. First of all, we have signed Chris Miller, a 24-year-old Northern Irish right winger, signed from Derry City. I wanted to bring him in last season, but basically, he was out of contract at Derry City, never signed a new one, but I had to pay ridiculous amounts of compensation for him. And then eventually they just released him, so we picked him up on a free transfer. I think he's a good player. He's come in as a fringe. He might get a lot of football, you never know. We've also signed Austrian defender midfielder Marcus Strauss, I believe that's how we're going to say that, from SV Zams in Austria. Now, SV Zams are a team that I've never heard of, but they are a semi-professional side who have lots of players who are available on a free transfer. Frank Borner, for example, looks quite good at 21, doesn't he? David Effenberg looks quite good at 21. Leon Schmidt looked quite good at 21. Maybe we might be going back to Zams to pick up all 3 of those players because they're all pretty good. Strauss, by the way, is a defensive midfielder, and I think mentally, very, very good numbers. Physically, also not terrible. Technically, he's got some good numbers in some good places. He's going to be a bit of a rotation player. Maybe send him out on loan for a season. I think we've got hopefully a good one for the future. And one for now, and one for the past as well, is Gabor Molnar, the Serbian defender, signed from Helsingborg, who we actually signed initially from Vancouver, I believe. He has joined us for £190,000. We didn't sign him from Vancouver. We loaned him to Vancouver, apparently. I say we. I'm assuming it wasn't. I don't think we did that, did we? No, because we left in 2032. So we signed him in our final season, and now we've brought him from Meowby, I believe, if that's how things work out. I think that's what's happened. So we've signed him for £190,000. He's going to be a very good player for us. Definitely good enough to start for us every single game, I believe. But that's the transfer business that we have done so far at the start of the season. Financially, we've still got a bit of money, £645,000 to spend. We've got around £20,000 a week wage budget if we want to dip into that as well. And just taking a quick look at our best 11, apparently, according to our assistant manager, David Cellini, have we got anyone else who's better? No, we don't at the moment. So we have basically got, I think we need possibly a centre-back, although Molnar we have obviously just signed. Maybe a defensive midfielder. We might need to look at strengthening there. We've got some very good options, like Daniel Ibrahim is a very good defensive midfielder, so maybe we don't need to worry too much about that. Left winger, possibly. Right winger, possibly. Arguably, I don't know what we need to do. We haven't got a huge amount of money, so maybe we just look at getting some decent youth players for the future and hopefully build up our little storage system of decent young players, loan them out to other teams in Sweden. Let's see how things go. We're going to jump forward then to the end of the start of the season transfer window, see what business we've managed to do. 2 players have left the club on permanent deals. Andre Larsson Wagert is the first one he has left. He is signed for Abreu. I believe we sold him to Abreu. Yes, we loaned him out a couple of seasons. He's gone for £82,000. And for a whopping £800, we have sold Axel Hilmarsson. He has gone to Sirius, a player that we signed last season for £2,400. We've sold him for £800. Basically, he just wasn't playing, was he? He was getting annoyed. He wasn't playing. We've just decided, let's cut our losses, get rid of him. But at least we've kept him in Sweden. And that is it, basically. We've loaned out a couple more players, but we have not brought in anybody new. Andreas Peterson going on loan, a good player, going to Sundsvall. Hopefully, I think they're in the 1st division, maybe they are. They've dropped. They're not in the top division, they're in the 2nd division. So Peterson hopefully going to get some football there. And Star Wars as well. He has gone to Vassarland, who are also in the 2nd division. So hopefully going to get a bit of football playing for them as well. We've also loaned out Mba, because, you know, why would he ever play for a club that he actually signed for? Let's send him out on loan. He's never going to get good, okay? This is now an experiment that I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep him until he inevitably retires and never plays a football match for us directly. I think he might have played a cup game once. Maybe. It doesn't look like he has. He's literally never played for a team that signed him, but he's played lots of games out on loan and he's still just awful at football. So yeah, it's been somewhat of a relatively uneventful summer, which means we do still have our transfer budget and our wage budget. In fact, we've got a little bit more money, obviously, in that because of the selling and basically freeing up some funds from the wages. From a competitions perspective, we still do not know what is going on. However, we are in the Swedish Cup final up against Helsingborg. Last season, I believe we got knocked out in the semi-final. This time around, we have made it to the final. We are playing our former team. It is two of my teams up against each other. So in a way, I'm kind of happy whoever wins. The fact that we're in the final says to me that we might be in Europe. Because, if I'm not mistaken, Helsingborg finished ahead of us last year, right? Helsingborg finished ahead of us. They didn't. They finished 6th. What happens here? I genuinely have no idea. It doesn't tell me. Next season, it's no idea either. I don't know what's going on. We still don't know whether we're in Europe or not. What we do know, obviously, we are in the Swedish Premier Division. We are predicted to finish 13th place, so just outside of a relegation scrap. Obviously, I don't want to be anywhere near a relegation scrap. I'm hoping to be 6 and above. That's kind of our goal because we have, I'm going to say it, we've qualified for Europe. We haven't. But because we've qualified for Europe, I've got very close to it. I think we should be able to do this every single season now with Mjällby from this point onwards. I don't do this too often, but I'm just going to kind of remind you, this is the formation. It's a 4-2-3-1. It's the Black Panther formation. There is a link in the description if you want to use it. It is not my formation. It's GOIR's formation. The best 11, apparently, is this. So we've got Lecourt in goal, Bergvall, Galamba, Molnar and Giwa. So some of our very recent signings. In fact, all 4 of those are recent signings. So is Lecourt. Raf, as we know, we signed him, I think, in Season 1 with Mjällby. He's starting to get good, although he's starting to decline. We've got Nicholas Ollison, another player that I brought into the club, who is apparently one of the best. We've got Anderson on the right-hand side. This was kind of where I was thinking maybe we need to strengthen, but Anderson's very good. Bengston on the left. He's just fast and angry. I'm not too convinced about Bengston. Lundberg, we know Kimi Lundberg as that attack midfielder is good. We've done that for countless seasons. And then Linus Karlstrand, who maybe Karlstrand might not be the one. We've got, who else have we got? Skuld. Skuld and Karlstrand, I think, are similar. Maybe Skuld might make it into the first team this season. He's already played 84 times for Mjällby over his career, scoring 30 goals. Maybe this is the season where he breaks into the starting 11. So anyway, let's jump forward then to the start of the next transfer window. We're going to find out whether we are in Europe or not. Have we won the Swedish Cup with Mjällby? I would love to win something with Mjällby before we inevitably leave, but I feel like this might be our best and only chance to do it, and it is up against a very good, and obviously we know they're very good, a Helsingborg side. Let's find out and see what's going on. We've been FM'd. I mean, we haven't really, but we've been FM'd. We've lost on penalties against Helsingborg. We had a 3.0 XG, but only scored 1 goal after 44 minutes. Mikey Moore scored for Helsingborg after 47, goes all the way to penalties, and then we just can't take penalties, or in fact, Solomonson cannot take penalties. What's his penalty taken? 6. Okay, and who was the other guy? Marcus Strauss, who's got penalty taking of 4. Cannot take penalties, which means we do not win the Swedish Cup. But have we qualified for Europe? Yes, somehow. I don't know how we've done this. So, right, I'm going to have a quick look. We haven't qualified for Europe there, but Helsingborg must have qualified for Europe as well, right? I feel like they were already in Europe. They might have already been in Europe from the previous season. Oh, it's got very confusing. So no, they couldn't have been in Europe from the previous season unless they got to the final. So Gothenburg, okay, right. Gothenburg must have got to Europe that season. They did. And because they won the cup, it went to the runner-up of the cup, got into Europe. But then because they were in Europe, that's because of that winning or equalize, whatever. Basically, somehow we're in Europe. And I wasn't expecting to be in Europe, obviously, as you can probably tell. And we're also second place in the Swedish Premier Division. 4 points behind Djurgårdens, joint on points with Landskrona and Hammarby. 3 points clear of Helsingborg. 4 points clear of Brommapojkarna. So, all in all, it's going quite well this season. Do you just want to take a quick look? Obviously, we're not far into the season, realistically. We've played, what is that? We should probably know. I could actually see what it was. But we've played less than half of the fixtures, and we've lost once. And that was only just against Varberg. And Varbergs are not a team that we should be losing against, realistically. So we've done well. It's a good start. Anyway, it is the 7th of July. The transfer window has opened. We've got some money to spend. We've literally done no business at the moment. I'm going to see what we can do maybe we do what we were talking about earlier, where we bring in some young players to hopefully just bolster some of the other teams in Sweden, but also make us better in a few years' time. Let's jump forward to around September and see if we've done anything. I'm worried that we might lose some players. In particular, Daniel Ibrahim. His value is skyrocketing. He's not wanted at the moment, but there's obviously time. Arinze Gira as well is another player that I'm worried that someone's going to come in and steal him. And Galamba, the player that we signed last season, or maybe the year before. I think it was last season, wasn't it? Yeah, for £115,000. He's not worth a huge amount of money, but I just think he's getting really good. And I'm concerned that someone's just going to come in and basically steal him for pennies. Well, good news. On the 1st of September, the window has closed. We have sold one player, and that is Predrag Karalic might be his name. He's gone to... where has he gone to? He's gone to Lunds. He's gone to Osters, actually, and then gone on loan to Lunds for £1,000. And that is it. We've loaned out a lot of people, but we've also spent a fair amount of money as well. Well, we've actually spent £250,000 on one player, and 3 players have come in on free transfers. Carl Cumberbatch has joined for free from West Brom, formerly of West Ham, and I believe a loan spell, 2 loan spells at VVV Venlo over in the Netherlands. He's come in on a free transfer. I think this is a good player to bring in. He's hopefully one for the future, but also he can do a job now. He is 27, so by future I mean 2 years' time. Arguably, maybe if he was younger, this would be a perfect signing. Right now, he's okay. He's not actually playing. His actual kind of playing time is emergency backup, which is probably a worry. We've also brought in on a free transfer a Russian who is called Ivan Dranikov. He can play in defence, midfield or attack. I don't know what position he is. I feel like they're going to play him in defence, and I'm kind of okay with that. He's got 12 tackling. He's also got 11 finishing. He's a bit of a weird footballer. There's not too many of these kind of in real life, I don't think, but Dranikov for a free transfer, he's a very good player. Ignore the fact that he's getting paid £7,250 a week. It's a lot of money. And the final free transfer is Josiclé, sure, the 24-year-old Brazilian right-back and left-back and attacking midfielder. He's not going to play in attacking midfield, has joined from Flamengo on a free after his contract expired, and I think we've got ourselves a very good, youngish footballer. He's not amazing, by all means. He's kind of below average, but physically and mentally, he's actually a pretty good footballer. Josiclé, I think he's good. For a free, I think you can't really go wrong. And for £250,000, we have signed Leonardo Dominguez, who is a 26-year-old Argentine winger and striker. And I feel like we've overpaid, okay? I really wanted to bring in a kind of utility player, a striker and a winger, someone who can do that job. I looked at Dominguez and thought, he looks quite good. And now I'm kind of doubting. I'm doubting kind of my expectations and my estimations. And we did spend a lot of money on him. They basically... They kind of negotiated it up for me, and I don't know why I've done this. He's not that good of a goal scorer. Dominguez might have been a waste of money, and that's not good to say when you're a team who haven't got any. So that is all of our transfer business. You can see here as well from there downwards all of the various loan deals. I don't think there's anyone really kind of big and exciting going out on loan. Marcus Holm actually maybe is one of them. He has played a few games for us over the last couple of years. Isaac Dahlqvist as well, another one who played a lot of football, but now at the age of 33, I've got no need for a 33-year-old right winger. In the Swedish Premier Division, we have dropped down from 2nd to 3rd place, but we are now just 1 point behind top of the table at Brommers Pekana. So, could we win the league? In our 3rd season in charge of Mjällby, could we actually win the league? I feel like we can't, but you never know. Weirder things have happened. And the other thing, we are in the Europa Conference League, currently sat down in 31st place. No matches have been played yet, but we did have to play some games in order to get here, and one of them was a very big result. In fact, 2 of them were very big results. Beating Dedic 6-0 and 9-0, which is ridiculous, a 15-0 aggregate victory there. We then beat Mislami Orhai. I have no idea what country these are from. They're from Moldova, apparently. Beat them 4-0 and a 0-0 draw, which is not ideal. And then Braga, beating them 6-2 away from home and losing 2-1 at home. It's not great, is it? But the fact we've managed to do that has meant we're in the Europa Conference League properly. We have got Tripolis, who are from Greece. We have HSV, we have Arda, who are from Bulgaria. Wolves, obviously, from Birmingham. We have FC Twente and Dynamo Bucharest. So, also, Wolves, it's not Birmingham, is it? I know people who are from the area are going to shout and moan at me. I can't even remember where it is, though. It's Wolverhampton. Of course it's Wolverhampton. It's in the Birmingham area, okay? They're rivals with Birmingham and Aston Villa on that lot. So around the midway point, in fact, over the midway point, we've just got 9 games left to play of this season. We are in 3rd place. Could we win the league? If not, could we qualify for the Champions League? That would be massive for Season 4 with our Mjällby side. We're going to go forward and we're going to find out exactly what has gone on. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is we've managed to qualify out of the Europa Conference League. We have won 3 of our matches, beating Wolves, Arda and Tripolis. In fact, beating Wolves 4-0 is ridiculous. 3 draws as well, Dynamo Bucharest, Twente and HSV, which means we do finish in 8th place on 12 points, but the goal difference has really helped us out there. And that means that we go through to the knockout round. In fact, the round of 16, I believe, of the Europa Conference League. In the Swedish Premier Division, we finished in 3rd place, 5 points off eventual winners Brommers Pushkana. Hammarby in 2nd place, just 3 points behind them, ahead of Djurgårdens, ahead of Landskrona and ahead of Helsingborg as well. We have done some really good work this season with Mjällby. In fact, we've got 3 players who've got double figures when it comes to goals. We've got Bergström, who has managed to score 13 in all competitions. We've also got Niklas Skold, who did start quite a lot of matches. He got 17 in all competitions, 9 of them in the Europa Conference League. Kim Lundberg, 12 in the league, 17 in all competitions. And Ake Anderson as well. He's got 16 in all competitions, although only 5 in the league, 10 of them coming in the Europa Conference League. I didn't mention this either. Valery Frolkin, a player who we signed in Season 1, I believe, he's been moaning that he's not playing a lot of football, so I've kind of force-started him in the second part of the season. He's done alright, actually. He's not done too bad. If we have a quick look at his form, he does get the odd goal and assist, but his rating's actually all really quite high, apart from the ones that are really low. He does really well or really badly. There is no middle ground for Frolkin. So all in all, Season 3 with Mjällby has been ridiculously good. Next season, we've got a big amount of money in our bank, but not a big amount of money in our transfer budget. We might see if we can kind of rejig some things about. We are already committed to spend more than our wage budget allows. Maybe the board are nice over the winter and go, you know what, as we've got 5 million in the bank, here's £2 million to spend next season. And the final thing before we go, we should have probably done this in the summer, but we're going to do this now. We are currently 8th place in the coefficients table. However, we are likely, well, not likely, but potentially going to be moving up to 7th place, leapfrogging over Portugal. And it means qualification places right now. We get 1 team directly in the Champions League. We get 1 team in the qualifying, basically 1 game away, or 2 games away from being in the Champions League. We've got someone in the playoffs of the Europa League, someone directly into the Europa League phase from the Cup. I believe that's what this is. This is Cup winner goes into the Europa League. I don't know. Not quite sure. Then we've also got someone trying to qualify for the Europa Conference League. If we move up to 7th, it's pretty much the same thing. However, someone goes directly into the league phase of the Europa League. So we are getting close. 6th is real good. 2 teams into the Champions League. 5th is even better. And then 4th and up is basically the same. It doesn't really matter at that point. We are getting very close. We're in touching distance of basically completing the league phase of building a nation. The next bit is letting Sweden, or making Sweden, somehow win a World Cup or a European Championships, which I feel like is going to be very difficult to do.